knowing that the man that has raised me my entire life has been there since day one is not my biological father. And I think that was the most hurtful of everything.
Hello, you are listening to NPE Stories. This is a podcast where NPEs can share their story. I am your host, Lily, and I found out I was an NPE through an ancestry DNA test that changed my life forever. NPE is a term that stands for Not Parent Expected or Non-Paternal Event. This means that one or more of our parents are not who we believe them to be. NPE Stories is a podcast where NPEs can share their story of what their original family was like, how they found out they were an NPE, and what their journey has been like since the day they found out. Welcome to episode 190. And right off the bat, I wanted to give a shout out to Jennifer Smolnicki. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for your generous donation to my Patreon page. It is so helpful. She just became a devotee to the podcast. And the donations are so helpful for me because I do pay for little fees here and there, $30, $40. And every month it just kind of adds up. So I do have 3 tiers currently on Patreon. I have a $3 tier, a $5 tier, and I believe a $10 devotee tier. So if you're interested, I would really appreciate it if you checked out patreon.com/NPE stories. Also, another resource I wanted to remind you of is the Untangling Our Roots Summit. And this is for our community. It's for people in the adoption world, NPEs, donor-conceived individuals. We will be meeting in Denver, Colorado, April 25th through 28th, and this will be in 2024, depending on when you're listening to this podcast. We will be having over 50 speakers. There will be entertainment, food. I went last year. It was a great experience. If this is something you're interested in, you don't have to know anyone. People have been writing saying, I don't know anyone. That's exactly what this is for. This is a place for us to go. It is very therapeutic. They have a lot of they have professionals there speaking. They have therapists, and they just have regular NPEs like us sharing their story. So feel free to check that out. I will put the website below. And now we are going to get into our story this week. Today I am speaking with KaSheena. Hi, KaSheena.
Hi, Lily.
We were talking before, but it sounds like you are ready to share your story.
Yes, I am.
You said you've been doing the therapy, all the work leading up to this.
I have. I really have.
Me too. Although I did just have a little hiccup this week. I had an interaction with a family member and I just went back like 5 years in time to when I first found out.
Yeah, I just had that happen just recently. And it was a Facebook memory that I posted from 2009 because I've always been interested in doing like finding out who my family is and all of that. So I was basically doing like a family tree thing. And I was like, oh, I want to know about all the sides of my family. So I, mentioned all the names. And when I read it, I was like, oh, well, I know now that those names aren't the names I should have been looking for. And so I actually I'll refer to her in this as my new sister. I text my sister about the Facebook memory and she texted me back last night and I text her back this morning, because her story is somewhat similar to mine. So just having someone to be sounding board with or someone else to listen that understands is very helpful.
Right. Oh, gosh. No, it is so. I remember I was doing family tree and genealogy for years. Actually, for some reason, I feel like I'm the keeper of the family stuff. Like when my grandma passed, I got all the old newspaper clippings and the old photos. And now it's just like, oh my gosh, she's not even really my biological grandma.
I get that. I feel that a lot.
Yes.
It's weird, but we deal with it.
We do. This is why we're here.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so let's find out. Okay, I've already found out you have a new sister. Let's talk about your childhood. Just Let me know who was in your raising family, your family of origin, and what that was like.
Um, I was raised in a two-parent household, raised by my mom and my dad. I will always refer to him as my dad because that's what he is or what he was. And I had a younger sister growing up. My mom was married before she married my dad, and she had two children from that relationship as well. So those are my siblings, and I never was raised to do half or whole siblings. So we don't refer to each other as half and whole. We're siblings. So
Mhm.
so I have a brother that is 7 years older than me, and my older sister is 9 years older than me.
Mm. Are your parents together?
My dad actually passed away in 2012. So my mom's a widow. All of my siblings live, well, one of my siblings lives close, but my other two siblings live in Texas.
What were your parents like growing up? How was that relationship?
My relationship with my parents were really good. I will refer to my dad. My dad, as I got older, I talk about college a lot. And when I went to college, that's when our relationship really developed because I wanted to be a helper. So I basically called him and told him that what I wanted to major in college. And he was like, well, why do you want to do that? Because I had been someone that was in the band from sixth grade all the way through college. And he's like, why don't you be like a band director? I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to help people. Like that's what I want to do. And he said, okay. So he was concerned because he worked in the state prison system and he didn't want me to do that. And I said, well, I don't want to work in the state prison system. I said, I just want to help people. And I got a bachelor's degree in criminology and sociology. And his main thing was he didn't want me to work in the prison system, which I didn't want to do that in the first place. And so we became close over that time frame, like as I got older and grew up, becoming an adult. Like I would call him and say, hey, Dad, let me tell you what I learned in this class. Or when he was working nights at the prison, I would always call him and check on him to make sure that he was good. And we just, talk about the days and, how he's doing. And he would always say, well, I'm waiting on my time to go so I can go home because he worked, 35 years, close to 35 years in the prison system before he passed away. So
Mm.
the relationship with him was really good as I got older because he
Mm.
was a man of few words, but he was amazing. And so he helped me through college. He was the one that when I bought my first house, he would come and cut my grass for me. And I lived at the time about 45 minutes away from where they lived. And so he would come and cut my grass. If something was broken at my house, he would come and fix it. Like he was my dad for all purposes. When I had my first child, he put his bike together when he was about 2 years old. And like shortly after he put that bike together, he passed away. So he passed away in 2012. And I just recently got rid of that bike because it was one of the last things that he put together. So I held on to it for quite a while. My second son actually rode the bike before I was able to finally just like, okay, I got to get rid of it because no one can use it here. so,
Yeah.
so he was amazing. My mom was also amazing. I didn't have any issues growing up as a child. We were middle class, I guess, family, no issues there. Both my parents worked. I was what you considered a latchkey kid. So my parents would be at work and I would have to be responsible for getting myself and my younger sister home and inside and making sure we stayed inside until our parents came home from work. We weren't one of those kids that can go outside and run around while our parents were at work. So I was basically a latchkey kid. I wore a key around my neck and was able to get into the house when it was time to go home after school.
Did you ever have any idea that you were an NPE? Anything you
No,
can think back about?
nope, none whatsoever. I actually really found it weird as I was growing up that my parents only got married a couple months before I was born. I was born in October of 82 and my parents were married in August of 82. I always kind of thought that was weird growing up, but it didn't make me feel like that my dad wasn't my dad because he's the only person that I've ever known my whole entire life. So I didn't feel any type of way. And growing up, I always was told that I looked a lot like my mom. Like I would see pictures from when she was, younger that are in black and white. And my dad always thought that, if he saw one of those pictures, he's like, oh, look at Sheena. And my mom would be like, no, that's me. And so I've always been told that I looked like her. But now that I know the truth, I see my face in other faces that I don't know.
So how did you find out you were an NPE?
That's a story that's really about by chance, actually, because I've always wanted to do a DNA ancestry test, but I wanted to do it to find out like what part of Africa I was from or what tribe I was from. Like that's really the reason why I wanted to do it. And at the time, it was on sale. It was December of 2021 when I found out. And I will say before that, I had gone through a divorce, and my divorce was final in September of 2021. And as I probably mentioned before, I have been doing mental health therapy and all the things, making sure I'm good on that standpoint. And I did the test because it was on sale. And I was like, I've always wanted to do one. So I'm going to buy it and just do it. And it was right before the holidays. I was actually at my mom's house when I sent my test off. I was at her house visiting, and it said I was going to drop it in the post office on my way out of town, coming back to my house. And so that was December 2021. And I got my results back January 27th of 2022. And so when I got the results back, I didn't really know what to expect because I didn't know how Ancestry worked. And so when I got it back and I saw like all of the demographics of where I was from, and I was like, oh man, this is cool. I was like, I just didn't realize that it was going to be like this. And so I looked at the matches, but again, I didn't really know how it worked. And I didn't understand. I was like, well, who are all these people? I said, because I don't know some of them. Like I knew the people that showed up. I knew some of the people that showed up on my mom's side, but I didn't know the people that showed up on my dad's side. And I was just like, well, I don't know who these people are. So being curious, I went to Facebook and I looked up a few of the people, and I saw that some of them were from the same area that I was from. And I was like, I have no idea who these people are. And so I just kind of just like clicked out of it. I was like, okay, whatever. I'll do it later when I have a little more time to kind of do some investigations. And I closed out of it and I didn't go back in it for several days. And then I got a Facebook message from a young lady saying, hey, I saw that we matched on Ancestry. I would like to kind of figure out how we're related if you are interested. And I was like, of course, sure. Let's figure it out. I want to figure it out. So we tried, and this particular young lady, we shared over 1,800 centimorgans. And at the time, I didn't know what centimorgans were. I had no idea what all that meant. And I thought, well, maybe we could be cousins. And she was like, no, I don't think we're cousins. I think we're sisters. And I was like, wait, what? And this was like all doing Facebook message. So it was like a back and forth with us on Facebook Messenger. And I was like, okay. And she apologized. She's like, I'm sorry. I know this is a lot. I just, I want us to try to figure out how we're related. So the first thing I thought when I thought we were cousins is, my dad was in the military before he met my mom. Maybe it was something to that, like, military guy got a young lady pregnant. Okay, they might have had a baby and not know about it. But I didn't know that this young lady was 10 years younger than me at the time. And so I was like, okay, well, let's just figure it out. So she was just asking me like, do you know this person? And I had no idea who these people were. And so I asked my mom, and I finally asked her, I was like, well, Mom, I said, I got my DNA, ancestry results back. And this young lady showed up on my DNA ancestry, and she's saying that she's my sister. And my mom was like, well, what do you mean? So I showed her. Went home and I showed her, and we talked about it. I was like, something's not right. I said, because this means that my dad is not my dad. And she got quiet, and I was like, I just need to know the truth. I said, because this is hurtful to me. Like I went through like a whirlwind of emotions because I was just trying to figure it out. And I can remember the day that I was messaging back and forth with my sister, and I was like, what is going on? Like I vividly remember driving to one of my best friend's house. We were best friends in college, and she's like, was my college roommate. And we were best friends. I was talking to her on the phone. I was like, girl, I don't know. I got something to tell you. I said, something is not right. I am talking to a young lady or messaging back with a young lady that says she's my sister. She was like, sister, girl, what you talking about? And I was like, I don't know. I'm going to call you as soon as I figure out all this stuff. And she was like, wait, so there's some, she's like, what do you mean? Your dad's not your dad? I'm like, that's what it looks like. And I said, I'm going to have to figure it all out. I'll let you know as soon as I let you know as soon as I figure it out. And just talking back and forth with the young lady via Facebook message, she was giving me all these names. I was like, I have no idea who those people are. And so I was asking my mom, I was like, Mom, do you know who that? Oh yeah, I know him. He got this person and this person. I was like, Mom, I think he might be my biological father. And it was just a shock. She went into this like, well, we had a thing, before I was with your dad, and I didn't know I was pregnant. Like it just was a lot. And I was upset in the beginning. And when I say upset, I mean like my mom and I were very, very close. I was the person that if my mom needed something, I'm going down to make sure she's good, because I have a younger sister that lives here too, but I'm always the one that everybody depends on to do stuff. So I had a conversation with my mom. Like I couldn't talk to her for several days. Like it just hurt too bad after I put the pieces together. And I just couldn't talk to her. Like I would call and I was like, hey, just call and check on you. It wouldn't be a long conversation because it was very hurtful. And she would text and she was like, hey, I know you're hurting, and I know that this information hurts. She said, but I want to, talk about it. So she'd talk about it, and then she'll kind of not tell me things and I'm like, I'm not 12 years old. I was 39 at the time. I was like, so I'm not a little kid. I said, just tell me the truth because I need to know the truth. And one of the things that I was going through back then in December, so breast cancer runs in my family. I have 2 aunts that have had breast cancer. So, of course, I was trying to do all the preventative measures, which is going to the doctor, having all these tests ran about breast cancer. And so at the time, I didn't know that my dad wasn't my dad. So I was doing all these tests and I was reporting that, I have 2 aunts on my mom's side and I have my grandmother on my dad's side that have breast cancer. So that elevates my risk for breast cancer. And so I had been through doing all these tests and genetic testing and all these things. And so I was having mammograms and doing all this stuff, but my mom knew all of that. And so I had to go back to my doctor and report, can you take the paternal history out? Because that history is no longer accurate. And so those are the things that, hurt the most, because I've been reporting all of this information my entire life and it's wrong because I don't know my paternal side anymore, because my paternal side that I thought was my paternal side is not. And so that was my biggest, issue with everything that I've been living. I've not been telling the truth because I didn't know the truth until now. And so that was the most hurtful part, having to go and, take away my paternal history that I've been reporting my whole entire life. Or, knowing that the man that has raised me my entire life has been there since day one is not my biological father. And I think that was the most hurtful of everything, because people that I've known my entire life, that are my aunties and my uncles and my cousins, are not biologically related to me anymore. And even, my kids, that I have 2 sons that, my dad is the only pawpaw that they know. They don't know anything else. I mean, my younger son, he didn't get a chance to meet my dad, but my older son, he did. And that's the only pawpaw he's ever known. He was 2 when my dad passed away. So those are the things that are the most hurtful in this whole process.
Oh, yeah. So much. You explained that so well, how hard that is.
Yeah, it's very hard. But it's very hard, but I have some people in my life. And she's still my cousin. She's one of my bestest cousins ever. She's probably like 14 years older than me. She's actually the person who helped name me when I was born. She's one of the people that I talk to a lot about all of this, because even though I know she doesn't understand, she's she's always very supportive of whenever I call them, like our text, and say, like I text her the same screenshot of the Facebook memory. And her response was, "'Cause I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I can't imagine how hard that is for you." And that's just helpful in itself, because she doesn't understand, but just for her to shoot, said I was gonna cry. She doesn't understand, but just to know that she's like, I'm here if you need to talk, and you can text me anytime you want to, like that kind of thing. So, and that's very helpful.
It is when you get someone that's empathetic
Yep.
and validating instead of dismissing.
Instead of dismissing, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, to me, that's very important, because doing this whole process, I know my mom, like, I don't talk to her about it as much anymore because she just shuts down. She won't talk about it. And I prefer not to even say anything about it, because I know she's going to shut down and she's not going to talk, and she doesn't know what to say. And that is hurtful to me, because at the end of the day, this is something that I didn't create for myself. Like, I didn't create this drama. I didn't create this mess, but it's been a secret long enough. So I'm going to talk about it, and I want to talk about it, and you're going to listen. If you don't want to listen, then close your ears, because I'm still going to talk about it. Like, you're not going to silence me and say that, oh, well, maybe you shouldn't say X, Y, and Z, or maybe you shouldn't do this. No, I'm going to talk about it. You can think what you want, but I'm going to talk about it. And I think that's one of the reasons why I have been it has helped me so much to be able to talk about it, because it was almost 40 years. I would have never known. My mom would have took this to her grave, and I would have never known if I hadn't done that test. And I'm very thankful that that I just did the test on a whim. Like, I would not have known if I hadn't have done that test. And because, I mean, I've lived in the same city with my biological family for most of my life, and never knew that I was related to them in any sort of way. We went to schools together. We probably went to schools together, probably walked together in the mall. Like, you never know, because I would have never known if I hadn't done the test. When my sister and I refer to her as my new sister, because I'm trying my best not to say anyone's name. So when my new sister and I were trying to figure out all of the things, we learned that he would be my new brother, used to work with my mother at a local jewelry store. And so I was telling my new sister, that my mom used to work in a jewelry store when I was a little girl. And she was, I guess, talking or texting with my brother, and he was telling her the same thing, because we've learned that I look a lot like my brother. And so when she showed him my picture, he was like, wait, I know her mom. We used to work together at a local jewelry store. And she was telling him that I was telling her the same thing. And I was telling her at the time, I was like, well, when my mom worked at this jewelry store, I used to sit out in the mall and wait on her to go out to eat, wait on her to get off work so we can go eat at the local, like, Wyatt cafeteria that was in the mall at the time. And so he was telling her the same story. So she knew that it was correct, because we were telling her the same things, basically. But at the time, he was like, well, I would have never thought that she was my sister. So that's one weird thing.
Wow.
And so my mom and my brother, because my siblings, my new brothers, they're all like at least 10 to 15 years older than me. Okay. So they're in their 50s, 50s, like early 50s, late 50s. And so they're all older than me. So but when I was like 7 or 8, my brother was probably in college, I guess, something like that. So it was in the 90s when my mom worked at this jewelry store, because I vividly remember it, because I used to go up there all the time and wait on her, because like I told you before, both my parents worked, so I didn't have the option to just I had to go to work with one of them or the other, depending on the day and what was going on at that time. So
did your mom have any clue that she was working with your half brother at that time?
I honestly don't know. And that's one thing that I can't figure out, because she remembers working with him, but I don't know if she ever put the 2 and 2 together, that we were actually siblings instead of just, I don't think she put it together, because her whole story has always been that she didn't know. She didn't know that she was pregnant. She didn't know that she was pregnant when she married my dad already, or whatever. But the stories that I've gotten, it just doesn't add up to me.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I don't know because I wasn't there 40 years ago, well, 41 years ago. So I don't know what happened back then. I can just go off of what has been told to me. And so I don't know if she knew or if she knew and just never said anything, or if she just wanted my dad, who she wanted to be with, because that's the story that she gave me, is that my biological person, and that's what I would refer to him as. I won't say his name. And that's kind of how I've been doing it, is my biological person and her had a thing, and they decided, or she decided, that she didn't want to be in a thing with him anymore. And she wanted to be with my dad, the person that raised me. And that's kind of how she put it to me, is that they had a thing and she didn't want to be in the thing with him anymore. And so she wanted to, because she wanted to be with my dad.
Let me just push on that just for a second. So your parents married August of 82 and you were
Yes.
born October of 82.
Yes. And I was also premature. So I wasn't supposed to be
Ah,
born until January of 83.
okay. Your mom said she didn't know she was pregnant when she
Yep.
married your dad.
Yep. I don't
Okay.
believe that that's true, but
Okay. I hear you. Okay. Okay. Yeah, when our moms tell us things, we want to believe them.
we want to believe.
You want
Yes.
to, you don't, yeah, you always believe your parents. That's what
Yep.
they say. And
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
And I really I wanted to believe her story. I wanted to believe her, but I was like, because I was trying to say, so did you cheat on my dad with my biological person? And like, I just had so many questions. And she said yes. And I was like, huh. She said, but I wanted to be with your dad. I was like, okay. But it's really hard to believe the story, because it's just so difficult to believe. Because she was like, well, I didn't know I was pregnant. And I was like, well, Mom, I said, I'm sorry, but I don't believe that. I said, because I've had two children. Like, I mean, in each time I knew I was pregnant. And I said, and I wasn't your first child. I was your third or fourth child
Yeah.
then. So it's like I just didn't believe it. And I tried my best to, believe what she was telling me, but I was like, I don't believe it, because you already had children before you had me. So it wasn't like I was your first.
Yeah.
But, with everything that, just finding out, that she worked with my brother back then, and that, he never even knew that I was his sister. It was just so weird. And so during the time that I found out in 2022, it's we don't get crazy weather here in Arkansas very much, but we sometimes get snow. And so during that time, it snowed, like when we were trying to figure all of the things out. And so, like, my sister initially contacted me February 2nd, 2022. I met her for the first time, I believe, February the 5th, which was like a weekend, because I was like, I just want to meet you. Like, I would love to meet. And so we agreed to get together. I traveled down there to the city that we're both from. And we we met. We met up at the casino for the first time. And it was nerve-wracking, because during that time she was trying to talk to the biological person and kind of ask him questions if he remembered my mom, like that kind of thing. And she was able to talk to him. He said he didn't remember my mom, didn't know who she was, none of the things. And I was like, it just doesn't make sense. I was like, she's saying this thing. He's saying, I don't know who the hell she is, kind of thing. And I'm like, somebody lying.
Mm-hmm.
It's because there's no way. I said, because like I mentioned in the beginning, my sister and I, we share 1,800 centimorgans. Like, they're like, really, people?
Wow.
And I was like, okay. I said, well, that's fine. It's okay. And so we met for the first time. And Lily, when I tell you, she is like the most amazing person ever. It was like meeting myself again, because we had so much in common. Our personalities are so similar. It was just amazing. And I was so happy and so glad to just meet her. And one of the first things when we saw each other for the first time, she was like, "So I'm a hugger." And she said, "So can I hug you?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm a hugger too." And we
Oh.
hugged, and it was like amazing. It was amazing.
Oh.
So we started trying to get together at least once a month to try to get to know each other because, of course, we've missed each other's entire lives, like because we never even knew the other existed. So we get together once a month. We text often. She actually just had a baby, and her baby was born in October. And again, my birthday is in October, so her birthday is a couple of days before mine. So her baby's birthday is a couple of days before mine. So, when she had her baby, I went to her baby shower. Like, she calls me her sister, refers to me as her sister. I refer to her as my sister. We talk often. If we don't talk, we more text because, of course, life is always lifing and we're always busy. But we
Mhm.
try to keep in contact, which has been amazing. And I always, when people ask me how many siblings I have, I actually have to now stop and try to count because I'm like, because I want to be truthful and I want to, tell all of the right information. So I'm like, I have this many brothers and this many sisters, and I was like, whoa, you have like a lot of siblings. I'm like, yeah, well, yeah. So it just to get to know her over the last couple of years, like I sent her a text like around February every year since we've met. I was like, oh, happy Sister Day, because we met in February of 2022, and so that was 2 years ago when you think about that, and when we met. And so I try to, we try to reach out, we try to get together. Like I said, we've been texting, over the last couple of days. And she's like, oh, I need to get up there because I just recently bought another house. And she's like, oh, I need to come and see you guys soon. And I was like, well, you're welcome anytime. Just let me know whenever you come, and you're always welcome to come. So it's the relationship with her has been amazing. And I'm so glad to, have established a relationship with her because we missed out on each other's lives because we didn't know.
Yeah. How about the other siblings?
So when I initially took the test, I had two close matches. It was my sister and now my brother. We share about 1,400 centimorgans with my brother. I've not met him in person. I sent him a message or two on Ancestry and that kind of thing. But nothing. I haven't physically met him in person. I have another brother, the one that I told you that worked with my mom. I actually have met him in person. I met him in September of 2022. Well, I guess you could say met him again because I met him as a child, but I
You
didn't know
right?
that he was my brother. And so we actually sat down, and he was in Arkansas for something, and we were able to meet. So I traveled to see him while he was in Arkansas, and we sat down and we talked for an hour or so before he had to catch a plane going back to where he lives. And it was great. I mean, I actually kind of felt as though I was sitting and looking at myself because, again, we resemble a lot. And he suggested at that time that I actually write a letter to my biological person, and as a way to kind of, I guess, break the ice because, of course, he doesn't believe the DNA, blah blah blah.
Oh,
And so,
really?
yeah, he doesn't believe that it's true, kind of thing. So,
Oh.
I actually did. I actually wrote a letter to him, and it wasn't a letter. It was just a letter kind of telling him about me and telling him about how I found out, where I got the information from, like who my parents are. I wasn't trying, and I guess sometimes people think that you're trying to get something from them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want anything. I just want a relationship with individuals that want to have a relationship with me. And so I left. I basically told him about myself from the time I graduated from college to now, like what I'm currently doing. I got some sons, I'm divorced. Like I basically spilled my whole life into this letter that was about 4 or 5 pages long. I mailed it certified mail in September of 2022. And I actually got my hair done that day. That's why I remember it, because I mailed it out of the city that I get my hair done in. I wasn't in the city that I live in. And so I knew it would take a couple days to get there. And I sent it certified mail, so I knew that he would have to sign for it in order to get it. And I didn't hear anything. But I did hear from my brother because he called and I was able to talk to him. And he basically said the same thing that had been said before. He doesn't remember being with my mom or anything like that. Could it possibly be someone else? Like all of the things. And in that particular moment, I was very upset. I was very sad. I actually did cry that day. I don't think my brother knows about that, but I cried that particular day. And I was really upset about it because I felt like I put myself out there on a limb and said, okay, I'm going to send them this letter. And I was basically rejected because he never responded. My brother called in return. So the biological person himself, never responded. But my brother did call and talk to me about it.
I know you're being polite about the situation, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sorry for you that the denial of DNA
Yep.
and of you and rejection of you that is
Yep.
this happens sometimes with NPEs, and it is maddening, and I'm so sorry.
Yep. I was upset. I'm not gonna lie, like I wasn't, because I was upset in the beginning.
Mhm.
But with therapy and what my decisions are for me and how I continue to be able to have my peace related to this whole thing is that I've taken on the stance I will have relationships with people that want them with me. And if you don't want a relationship with me, that's totally fine. But the people that do, I will have relationships with them. And so over this journey, over the last 2 years, I have my sister. I might not talk to my brother every day. I text him on his birthday, like I send text on your birthday. They'll text me on my birthday. When my sister and my brother, they're both in, my brother's in a fraternity and my sister's also in a sorority. So, and I'm also in a sorority. So my sister and I are in different sororities. So I always, when she had her baby shower in September, I gave her a little gift. She's an AKA and I am a Zeta. And so she had a little girl. And so I gave her a little onesie that said, my mom, what is this? I can't remember what it said. My mom is an AKA, but my auntie is a Zeta or something like that. And she was just like, they were like, oh, and I was like, well, I had to give a little shade gift because maybe she might be a Zeta one day, and if not, she could be an AKA. So it's those kind of things that makes this all worthwhile. I mean, because that's a relationship that I established with my sister, and that she understands and she knows exactly how I feel because her situation is the exact same as mine. And then during her baby shower, I met two cousins that I had never met before. And again, I said we lived in the same city, and I did not know them growing up. And during her shower, they called me over to the table and it's like, hey, are you her sister? And I was like, yeah. And they was like, man, you look like my brother.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, I've been told that in recent years. And so I've established relationships with them. We might not talk every now and then, but we're Facebook friends. So we see each other stuff on Facebook. We like it. We have each other's numbers. So we exchange numbers during that baby shower. So that's two additional cousins that I have that if, I see them somewhere, they speak like, hey, cuz. I'm like, hey, how y'all doing? And we're just catching up kind of thing. I actually did a 23andMe test as well the following year. So in 2023, I did another one because I wanted to see if there were more relatives on that side with that particular one. And I found another cousin. And so I'm always the one that reaches out. And so I'm like, well, it ain't gonna hurt. They can either say yes or no. And so I reached out to her. We've developed a relationship over the last, I guess, maybe year or so. She sends me pictures of family. She checks on me. I check on her. I just texted her a couple of days ago. Um, she's older. She's also older than me, but that's another cousin that I've established a relationship with. She has a son, and he would be my second cousin. It showed he was also on 23andMe, and so it showed up second cousin. So so I established relationships with them. It's just who wants the relationship with me. If you don't want it, cool. I'm okay with it. But if you do, we can get to know each other and you can get to know me. You can get to know my kids, that kind of stuff. So my sister has actually met my my two sons, they met last, this is 2024, so they met in 2023 in January around Martin Luther King Day. And so when they met her, and I kind of told my older son ahead of time so he wouldn't. I mean, he's 13, so he's really smart, so he figures stuff out really quick. And so I was like, okay, so I'm gonna take you to meet your auntie. And sometimes when I say auntie, like I have sorority sisters they consider their aunties, and
Yeah.
I have friends that they consider their aunties. And so they was like, now, is this a sister or a sorority sister or what kind of sister? I was like, well, it's really my sister. And they was like, okay. And so when I explained the whole situation to my son, he was like, oh, so I just have more family to love. You know what? Yes, that's right.
Mhm.
That's absolutely right. And so they met her. We went out to lunch and they loved her. They loved her just as much as I loved her. And so we were able to take a picture, and every time we I mentioned going to see their auntie, they was like, well, which auntie? Is it the new auntie? I'm like, yes, it's the new auntie. So it's things like that. And over the years, it's been 2 years and it's still hard. I'm not gonna say that it's not, because it is, but it, it's I'm able to deal with it a little bit more because I didn't create this mess for myself. I just put it like that.
Let's talk about these 2 years. What have you found helpful for your healing?
Just being able to talk about it is more of a healing process for me. Being able to live in my truth, whatever that truth might be, whether it's hurtful or not, just knowing that it's my truth at the end of the day. This is what it is. It doesn't change, because at one point in this whole process, I was trying to figure out, who the hell am I? I said, because technically I'm still that person, but my last name should have been something different. Like, all of these things should have been different. And I went through a whole point in the very beginning. Like, I was in school working on my second master's degree, and I was like struggling. Like, I didn't want to do any schoolwork. I was like going down this DNA rabbit hole trying to figure out all of the missing pieces. And I thought I was going to flunk out of school because I was just so consumed with everything that was going on with this DNA stuff. Like, I was finding new relatives and wanting to know everybody's names. Like, I've created all kind of trees. It's been crazy. But the thing that helped me through this whole entire process is knowing that I have a sister that's been through the same thing. And so if I ever needed to talk to somebody, she understands, because her situation is a lot like mine. Um, Knowing that I have now new siblings and new cousins and people that, want to have a relationship with me, that, are open to getting to know me and getting to know me and my children. Therapy. Therapy has been very helpful.
Yes.
I can remember talking to my therapist and telling her all of this stuff, and she was like, wait, hold on. She's like, I know I'm not supposed to be crying in therapy sessions, but oh my God, KaSheena, how are you dealing with this? And I was like, I don't know. I just keep going. Like, I don't quit. I just keep going. And I think that's a part of me persevering through all of this, because this is a lot, and it's a lot. Like, I had to telling my siblings, my maternal siblings, about all of this was horrible. That was something that I'm like, Lord, I don't know how I'm going to tell them all this, but it was during COVID, so I had got on a Zoom or Google Meets, and I was like, hey, I need y'all to meet me at this time. I'll only take up about an hour of your time. I just really need to tell you something. And to tell my siblings that my dad is not my dad. My younger sister is like, what the hell you mean? And
Mhm.
just having to sit and tell them that, when my younger sister and I always thought we were, I guess you could say, full siblings, and then turns out that we're not. So those kind of things are having to tell my last living auntie on my dad's side that my dad is not my dad. Like, I had to go through and do all of that because I felt like I was keeping a secret. And I was like, well, this secret has been kept secret long enough. I need to tell anybody and everybody that will listen.
Yeah. Mm. And this shouldn't have all fallen on you to be
No,
the right? I'm
no, it should
sorry.
not have.
No.
But the way that I am set up is when I found this out, I honestly felt like I was keeping a secret from everybody. Like I
Mhm.
felt like I was keeping a secret from my siblings. Like I was avoiding talking to them because I was holding on to this information that I had found out, and
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do with it. Like I needed to be able to process that in therapy. And that's what I did. I had to go and talk to my therapist first before I did all of that. I was like, I have to tell somebody, like
Mhm.
having somebody that didn't understand but would listen. My best friend, my cousin that I've known my entire life as my cousin. And one of the things that she told me, she was like, Sheena, it doesn't change anything. I know DNA means I know what DNA does, but it doesn't change the fact you're still my cousin. And to this day, I just texted her yesterday and told her about the Facebook memory. She's like, cuz, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just so sorry. Just having someone to say, I'm sorry. I know I don't understand, but I'm sorry. That help it helps me. And so it helps me to be able to continue to build relationships with people that want them with me. If you don't want a relationship, cool. I've not met my biological person. He is 70 something years old. I've not met him. I want to learn about the history. Like I want medical history because, of course, I don't know any of it. I only know that he had prostate cancer at one point in his life, and so for me, I'm concerned because I have sons. So those are things that I need to know. Like I have the sickle cell trait. I now know where that sickle cell trait came from. I always wondered where it came from because I'm like, nobody in my family has sickle cell.
Oh.
But that's something that I learned that it runs in my paternal side, in my biological person side of the family. One of my aunts passed away from sickle cell. I had no idea.
Mm.
But that's where the trait comes from. I get that from them. And I have it because I see it in all my records. Like sickle cell trait. Who has that? But as I didn't know until doing a test.
Yeah, this stuff is so important,
Mhm.
especially an accurate family medical history.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. I like, yeah, I hear you. I hear you say biological person. That's, yeah, I'm going to take some things from you. I'm going to probably start using that one.
Yep.
I also like how you said, I want to have a relationship with people that want to have a relationship with me. I'm going to take that one from you too.
Yes. Take it. Take it.
Yeah. I have a biological father in his 70s, haven't
Mhm.
met him, don't talk to him.
Yep.
Yes, it is a weird feeling.
It is
And
a weird feeling.
mhm,
And
mhm.
I think it's more weird for me because you're still alive. Like when I found this out in 2022 and I lost my dad and like I seen them close the casket in 2012, like that's a weird feeling to know that there's still somebody out there that's biologically related to
Yeah,
me that I don't have a relationship with and is not interested in establishing a relationship.
yeah,
And so at first, when it first happened, it was more like, well, maybe this is like a second chance to, you know, develop a relationship with someone else. Because losing my dad was the hardest thing I have ever been through in my entire life. And when I say that because I was the person that helped my mom with services, and I was the person that wrote the obituary, and I was the person that made sure all the pictures got, like, I was that person. And to shoot, I'm crying again, and to know that that person is no longer here, like I always, when I first found this out, I would tell my mom, I'm so glad I waited to do that test. Like if I had have done that test 10, 12 years ago, that would have hurt my dad so much. And I'm glad that I did the test in 2021 when he was already gone. Like, because my cousin was like, do you think that he knew? And I was like, no, I don't think that he knew. Because I found out later that my dad never wanted children. He never wanted kids. And
mm,
he did, when he found out my mom was pregnant, he did the thing that he thought was right. And he didn't want the child to grow up without a father. And so they married because he didn't want the child, me, to grow up without a father. And he was there my entire life. So those are the things that, hindsight being 2020, I was like, oh, I'm glad I didn't do that test years because I've always wanted to know who my family was because my mom's side of the family, my mom wasn't raised by her mom. And so she was raised by her grandmother, paternal grandmother. And so those are the things that, is important. And I wanted to know, who I'm related to, like who my people are, because I feel like that's important and that we all need to know. But as I got older and did this test and found this out, I'm not stressing people. If you don't want to deal with me, cool. I am okay. You are missing out on a lot of awesomeness because I feel like I turned out pretty darn good.
Yes, you did.
I was like, look, I was able to go to college. My dad sent my parents, my dad took out student loans for me to go to college. So he wanted me to get a college degree. Neither one of my parents, I'm the first person in my immediate family, like my mom and dad, to have a college degree. He wanted me to be better. He wanted me to be better than him. He was super smart. He went to college. He didn't finish. He was drafted and went to the Navy and just never went back. But when I walked across the stage with my undergraduate degrees and when I walked across the stage with my first master's degree, my dad was there. He was there. He was proud. He might not have said it out loud, but he was proud of me. And one of the things that I will hold dear is when my dad passed away July the 30th of 2012. And his birthday is July 2nd. And so both of my sons have birthdays in July. And one thing that I always said when I got pregnant with my second son, his due date was actually August the 4th. And so one of the things that I said when I found out his due date is that August the 4th was actually the day that my dad's funeral. And I was like, well, if he's born on August the 4th, that gives me a good memory to replace with the bad one. And so when he was born in July, I was like, well, I guess he just wanted all the grandkids to be born in July because my two sons were born in July. And so just to, this whole thing, I'm so glad that I did not find out when he was still alive, because that would have killed him, because he was amazing. And just knowing that if he was still here, this would have taken him out, like all the way.
KaSheena, if people wanted to contact you or reach out to you directly, could they do that?
Absolutely.
What would be the best way to get in touch with you?
So it would be my personal email address, and it's my first name, KaSheena, KASHEENA.Winston, WINSTON @gmail.com.
I will put your email address down below in the show description. And KaSheena, thank you so much for sharing your story today. I really got a lot out of this. I'm taking some things from this.
Yeah.
You are so amazing. You are so sweet and smart.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing today. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much for allowing me to share.
These stories are here for us to identify with. If you are an NPE and would like to share your story, email npestories@gmail.com. You do not have to give any identifying information. If you are an NPE and would like to share your story, I'd like to hear from you. Subscribe to this podcast to hear more. Come heal with us.